Hey everybody, it's Jang here with a look at the LEGO Star Wars Hoth Attack set for 2016. This focuses on the Rebel base side and has the iconic DF9 infantry or anti-infantry turret there, which is a little bit skinny, I have to say, in the center. The proportions of it aren't quite there. Would have been better to have a smaller head to it or a thicker main cylinder where a person would go. And interestingly enough, they don't set it up so that a person goes inside of there. Instead, they have a cap that opens up and you can sit a person in on the top of it. So this represents what it looks like when a person pops their head out through the hatch, which is something that actually was seen in Empire. But this is supposed to be the way that you would have a person actually in there to control the thing in the LEGO version. Now this does have two spring-loaded shooters, and you can just barely see those peeking out down here, and the tails of the bolts stick out quite obviously from the back, so you can cause those to shoot out, or if you want it to look more realistic, you can just leave those off. Now, there's a very nice gear mechanism built into the base of this thing. You use this knob here on the side and just cause that to spin around. It has a nice ratio to it and it feels very smooth. Just goes together nicely and works well. There's some interesting shaping down here on the base with the different snow banks, and snow is just kind of off onto the edges, and they also brought in some tans and some grays, so it's not too boring. Also looks kind of dirty, like the trenches actually would be. I believe this is a place that has a power regulator in it, so you could see that as being a spot that you need to keep track of and possibly do some work on if the thing gets damaged, and for that purpose they've included a wrench there. There's also a black shovel over here for keeping the trench all shoveled out. But there's another form to this. You notice there's a hinge right here. Well, there's one on the other side as well, but just look at what happens when you pull all this out. It completely changes the shape of the thing. Look at that. Now some of the curved parts that were 90 degrees apart from each other are actually connected together to make larger curved snow piles and banks and such. And it just lengthens the whole thing out and gives you the effect of a longer trench. Just completely changes the landscape. So if you end up getting multiples of these, you can leave one all the way folded up, have one fully out like this, or maybe two of them, build them kind of in mirror form almost if you can. Pull this around. It unfortunately doesn't go completely 180 degrees in with that one there, but you can leave it at a 90-degree angle, or you can pull in just one of these and leave the other sticking out like that. So you can just change the shape of the space, the play space, the display space that's formed by this single set without having to actually take anything apart. Now the set includes one probe droid for the Empire side, and to be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of this one. It has actually a good amount of realism to its overall proportions and the angles and such, but especially with the suggested angles for posing the arms and the little gun elements on the base and the lights, the clip elements going around the sides, just doesn't quite feel right to me. And that may be just bias. I'm actually certain that a lot of that is just bias based on previous toys made of these. This is probably objectively a little bit closer to the overall shape if you kind of blur your eyes or look at it from a distance than other designs have been, but I just personally, subjectively, not very attracted to this. The Empire also gets one of these iconic E-Web heavy repeating blaster setups, and it has the integrated stud shooter in it, which I think is very, very good, a very good choice. I think that this thing is the right size to incorporate a stud shooter into it, and it's way better to have that ability to shoot than to not. However, where is the power generator? They don't even try to include one here. I mean, it was right there on the Empire Strikes Back lunch pail. You had one guy who was manning the gun itself and one guy who was taking care of making sure that everything was right with the generator. And one guy would actually be helping to carry the generator, if not two working together. So where is that? That is missing, and I'm not happy about it. The figures here, left to right, are Hoth Han, then just a rebel trooper and a snow trooper. I've never personally been a huge fan of Han Solo myself, just as a character, so I haven't followed all the specifics of the different little differences from one version of the figure to the next, so I can't give you a history of that or anything, but it's a fine looking figure. Looks a little bit on the plain side to me, I think because the contrast between the dark brown and the black details in there is just a little bit lacking. That's a printed piece, the little 1x1 tile used for the backpack for the snow trooper. Nothing new there. I can see the full faces, including Angry Clone, of course. It is too bad that the print coming down on the front of the legs for the rebel trooper is kind of thin. Doesn't really add much white on top of the gray there. Han gets an alternate face, nobody else does. So it's a pretty cool set, and I really like how the terrain folds up, but there are a lot of little things here that bug me. So my overall personal satisfaction with this set is lower than I would like it to be. Let me know what your satisfaction level is with it by leaving your thoughts in a comment on the video down below. Thank you for watching, and thank you in advance for your feedback. I'll talk to you again soon.